Hey, welcome to Papa's Custom Cars. My name's Craig. Yesterday, when you drove home from work and you parked your car, everything was just fine. No issues whatsoever. This morning, you went out to start your car, wouldn't start. Let's take a look and see what kind of reasons would cause that to happen. There are a few common reasons you might be able to isolate, so let's look at that now. Now, this doesn't represent the battery in your car, but this is the battery in my tractor. And when my tractor doesn't start, the first thing I want to do is I want to check out my battery. One of the things I want to do is I want to look at the terminals and I want to look for any kind of corrosion that's built up. The corrosion can cause a bad connection, and that bad connection can cause your car not to start. Corrosion is just a naturally occurring thing that happens when electricity moves through a terminal. You'll get that corrosion if you look at your car battery and you see a lot of buildup around it. It looks like a fuzzy kind of white stuff. That's corrosion, and then you need to get it cleaned off. When you're under the hood of your car and you see that, just you got to get something to clean it up. They make all kinds of different cleaners for that, and also protectants. But you definitely want to stop that corrosion because that causes your battery's connector or connection to not be good, and could cause weakness and issues. So the next item that it could be is your starter. Your starter is generally going to be located here up on there's different places where it's located. You can search it out in your car. But basically what happens is when you turn your key onto the start position, a little wheel rolls out, grabs hold of that flywheel, and it spins it. That's what makes your engine, gives you that engine that speed to start up and get going. A starter not working properly can cause that not to happen. It could be clicking noises, or it just doesn't do anything. That could be an indicator of a bad starter. So you definitely want to investigate a little bit further and see if that's the issue. Make sure you check your battery first, because if your battery doesn't have the juice required, then your starter isn't going to have the power that it needs to spin over the engine to get you started. So the next item that it could be is the fuel system itself. In this particular example, this has a carburetor and it has a fuel pump generally located on the side. This one is being modified for fuel injection, but the delivery of, if you've got starter crank and she's spinning over fine and everything is going the way it's supposed to, then the fuel could be the next issue. Could be a bad fuel pump, could be a bad fuel injector, could be anything of that nature. So, possible issues are a clogged filter could be one. It could be a bad fuel pump. It could be, any of those things. So basically, an engine needs fuel one way or another, either carbureted or fuel injected. Most of the newer cars are going to be fuel injected. There's a fuel pump in the gas tank, and it pressurizes the fuel system. And that way, when the computer tells it, it shoots gas into the cylinders and things fire off. A bad fuel filter can cause issues. A bad fuel pump can cause issues. These are reasons that your car's spinning, the motor's spinning just fine, and everything's going just fine. It's just not starting, and it could be one of those two causes. So that's definitely something you want to look into. The next item could be your spark. So when an engine's running, the engine has spark plugs like this one. They're located at the end of these little blue wires, and the ignition system sends a spark to each cylinder on a timed basis and fires off, or lights, I should say, lights that gas on fire, causes the explosion, and that's what makes your engine run. If there is no spark to light off that fuel, you're not going to get an engine that runs. You're going to get an engine that spins and doesn't do anything. So again, there are different spark plugs, or excuse me, a spark plug could foul out. There could be an issue with the spark plug. So it's always good to check to see if you have spark. They make tools where you just put it in line with your spark and it'll tell you. A lot of the newer cars, you can actually hook your computer to it and it'll tell you which one's firing, which one's not firing, if there's a misfire or anything in that nature. So definitely, again, one of those things you can look at. If you've got a friend with a really good tool that can diagnose that issue, that's definitely a friend you want to have. The next item that could cause it are fuses and relays. If you're turning the key and the starter's not firing off, but you've checked the starter and everything's fine, it could be the starter relay that's not working properly. This particular one has one at the top of it, of the starter, and you can jump across it and see if that relay is working. But most cars, in the fuse system, they'll have a relay in there that when you push that button or crank that key or push that button, it sends the signal to the relay, and the relay says, okay, start. If that relay's bad, it's not going to send that signal, and it's not going to happen. The same goes with the fuel system. Fuel system also has its own relay, and if that relay is bad, it's not going to tell the fuel pump to turn on, and therefore you're not going to get the fuel in it, or the relay that runs the spark. You're not going to get those relays and fuses can mess stuff up, and you won't get a signal to whatever it is that you're trying to operate. For example, the fuel pump. And if that happens, guess what? It's not going to start, and that could be a problem too. So these are really simple, basic items that in an engine or in your car that could cause your car not to run. One of the other things I wanted to add is if the battery voltage is low, a lot of the new cars have computers where if the battery voltage is below a certain point, the car won't start because the computer doesn't see the proper voltage to start the engine. Be really careful if you're jump starting the car, because these do have very sensitive electronics in them, and jump starting a car like you did the old days is not recommended at all. You got to be really, really careful on where you hook everything to, and being very, very careful not to short out the computer. I mean, if you hook up, back in the day when you hooked up cables backwards, well, I shouldn't say it's something that could be common, but a battery could blow up on you. Nowadays, if you just touch the negative, the positive, negative, you could fry out the computer, or fry out a relay, or fry out a fuse or something of that nature. So these are just some general ideas on what could be wrong with the car. You know, I always start with testing that battery first. The battery is going to be the life of the car. That's the one that tells everything. Here's your voltage. Here's everything you need to run. So let's go for it. So again, you know, simple checks before you have an expensive repair can save you a ton of time and a ton of money. Try to know what you're going after or what the problem is before you go to the mechanic and spend thousands of dollars for them to sit there and try to figure out what's wrong with your car. You can find a buddy who's got the code readers. That's great. That would be the best thing to do. The little handheld units work well to identify codes and that type of thing, but the big master ones, the higher dollar ones, work a lot better. If you go to my page, www.papascustomcars, I've got links to a few readers in there that are relatively inexpensive, but the cost of one of those can save you the money in the long run. So if you want to know more about some, little tips and everything to help you save a couple of bucks here and there, definitely subscribe. Make sure you like, share. Make sure you comment. If you have any additional information out there for people that are looking this up, do leave a message in the comments. Do be nice about it, because a lot of these folks, they're just looking on YouTube to try to figure out what's wrong, and anything that you can offer in the comments to help them is greatly appreciated. So with that, make sure, again, you like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.